Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Geek Authority and Holzheimer's Distribution Show. We've got a special guest, another special guest today, featuring one of the other vendors that you can see at various conventions, along with MaryLee. I think she's over here. And this is TribblesToys.com and Miles Rinis. Say hello.
Hi.
So, Miles, you are a vendor at conventions. Don't you just love conventions?
I do. I really do. It's a lot of fun.
What's the best aspect about it?
Once the booth is set up, which is backbreaking labor for those of us who do it by ourselves because we're too stubborn to ask for help, having the fun with all the people. I mean, the most fun I have is with the kids who, when they come into the booth and they realize the Tribble booth is an actual booth that they can play in and touch things. It's not, don't touch this because it's collectible, or don't touch this because it's fragile. When I was a little kid and my mother would take me shopping, my hands were always in my pockets walking in and out of stores because don't touch anything, especially, as my mother said, I was a bull in a china shop and she was always afraid of me breaking something. But with the Tribbles, they're designed for the kids to come and play and touch and have a good time. So that's the best part about me being at a show.
Very cool. As you can see, I went to your website, and this was kind of age appropriate right now. I thought was so cute. It's a Tribble mask. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see the COVID Tribble. That was a little bit of silliness that I was having one day with a friend of mine's Tribble here at my day job office, and you know, with everybody having to wear masks right now, I put the mask on a Tribble and took a couple pictures and sent it out to a few friends and I said, what do you think? And they all, know my sense of humor and just laughed with it. And so we shared the picture on Facebook, and for what it's worth.
It's very, very cute, and appropriate for the time. So
yes.
Now, everyone, if Tribbles wear masks, you should too. So, okay, so let's talk about Tribbles. First of all, what is a Tribble for those three people who don't know what a Tribble is?
Tribbles were little creatures on classic Star Trek that the story goes, if you fed them too much, they would have tons and tons of babies. So the Tribbles get on the Enterprise and into the food supply, and then the whole ship is full of Tribbles.
Okay, and how did you choose this as an item to obviously design, create, build, and then sell? How did that come?
David Gerald, the man who wrote the original episode, I was on his website one day just seeing when his next book was coming out. At the time, he was looking for some help with his accounting and his eBay merchandising of his books and scripts. So I sent him my resume, and it turned out I lived a mile from where he lived. So I started working for him and doing that. We were in Vegas at the Star Trek Experience at one of the creation conventions. We were at the Star Trek Experience, and they were selling Tribbles. So I started talking to the people there, ended up buying wholesale from them for the shows that David and I were doing. Eventually, Star Trek Experience was closing up, and they were ending it. So long story short, David and I are now selling Tribbles.
So these are your own, though. You have them manufactured for yourself. You're not wholesaling them anymore, right?
Oh no, we wholesale and retail all around the world.
Oh, okay.
And now, it's a lot of fun.
Show us one. I see one right next to you. Can you show him what they do? Show us what they do.
Well, this is one of our large Tribbles, and sorry, once I turn them on, there we go. They shake and make noise.
Klingon nearby?
Is there a Klingon there? What's going on?
That would be me.
Our large Tribbles now, in fact, our large Tribbles now will make both sounds. So they'll automatically go back and forth. Sometimes they'll purr, and sometimes they'll screech.
He must have just seen Angela. Okay, I feel better. Anyway, so there. Not only that, people, you got to realize in his hand it's chirping and it's screeching or whatever, but it vibrates. It actually moves.
Yes.
And
they shake and make, the large ones will shake and make noise. Any loud sound or noise will activate them, which is a lot of fun when
Yeah.
When people come into the booth unexpected, to play with the Tribbles, and they'll touch them or pick them up, and then the whole table will go off. Finding people screaming and yelling out of shock and surprise is one of the best things about doing the shows.
So what kind of Tribbles do you offer? You said 3 sizes, and then
we currently have almost 20 different breeds of Tribbles.
Oh, by breeds, what does that mean?
All the way from our Meadow Tribble to our Mirror Universe Tribble to our Radon Tribble, our Desert Tribble, so on and so forth.
Okay.
They're coming in, our limited edition box sets only come in the large size, but everything else comes in either keychains, smalls, or large. And we do have some mediums of the standard assortment, the Desert, the Tundra, the Meadow, and the Cave. And then also our gas Tribble, the pink Tribble from the animated show. Also come in medium sizes.
But you have offered some smaller ones in a limited edition in the past.
Yes, no?
Yes, we had our edition box set. We still have a few left. We were just being silly, and we made a command Tribble, a science Tribble, an engineering Tribble, and put in a gas Tribble to complete the set. Each set is limited edition to 1701. Everyone knows why. Each set is individually numbered and comes with a hand-signed card with David Gerald's autograph.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yes.
I have to defend those. 1701 is the actual number of the original Enterprise ship, and has since had an A, B, C, D, and all those letters after it. What about your keychains and your batlets and your all that other stuff? We
stay with our core product, which is Tribbles, and then anything associated with Tribbles we'll try and branch out with when it's fun to do that.
Really? What are these pictures?
I'm sorry, my iPhone is a little too small for my old weak eyes, so I can't necessarily see what you're pointing to, Lorenzo.
This is Miles. I believe this one's at Comic-Con. Buried in the center. He's the one in the center. And there's kids and a mom all like bringing you Tribbles to purchase. But notice on the wall, he's got all kinds of Tribbles. I believe this one over here is Star Trek, Vegas. And that's his microbes wall. You want to talk a little bit about that?
We also carry a product called Giant Microbes, which are germs, viruses, diseases, and have a good time selling those at some shows too.
Good time I mean, seriously, how do people approach you regarding the various, yes, he has a plush of syphilis and HIV and sperm and all kinds of
diseases, germs, and viruses. For the people who aren't familiar with it, it's out of shock, as in, why would you sell a disease? But the more people who pick up a disease or see a disease, and if it's something they already have, they realize they're not so alone with what they have. The hardest part of living life, I like to think, or I not like to think, but is feeling alone and isolated from other people. So when you see that you're not the only one who has, and I'm going blank on a disease right now,
HIV.
other than the STDs, but we have almost 200 different diseases. And when you realize you're not the only one who has it, that makes it a little bit easier to talk to people and deal with the difficulties of any disease that you may or may not have.
I assume the new kid on the block is going to be COVID-19?
Yes, it's already available. I believe it's starting to ship mid-July or so.
Awesome. And your site, which is listed, if you can see it up there, tribbles.com.
TribbleToys.com.
We'll have it listed when it's available, or?
We also have a sister site called gmtoystore.com for the Giant Microbes Toy Store. And that will take people, if you're online, to the Giant Microbe Toy Store where you can get specific diseases, germs, and viruses.
So who knew you can get diseases and Tribbles from the same guy?
All in one booth at a show.
All right, speaking of your booth, so tell us, give us this experience. How long have you been doing this? When did you start?
The Tribbles, David and I have been doing the Tribbles for about 12 years now. This is our 12th year. We started in 2008. Our first show, full-fledged show with Tribbles was San Diego Comic-Con.
Really? Okay. Wow.
Wow.
So we had a little table in the back, and we're swamped with people, and it was like, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, MaryLee and I have talked about all the different conventions, Gallifrey, Star Trek, Comic-Con, and the fact that, they're varying sizes and amounts of people and so on and so forth. So you have to have a few experiences that you talked about the kids. What have been some of your favorite experiences with them?
The kids, seeing their eyes light up when they don't have to be held in and reserved. When seeing, there's always, it's funny because most parents are with their kids and they're trying to keep the kids reined in, when you have the kids that are just wanting to be kids and have fun with toys. And when seeing certain kids at the booth who, when their eyes light up and you just have a fun time. And then there's always a couple kids that lose their parents and end up back at the TribbleToys. You can always tell the first couple times when you see the kid. I always say to the parents, it's like, when you lose your kid, this is where he'll be. There's a set of sisters at San Diego Comic-Con, and we've been doing Comic-Con for a dozen years now, that they're come to the booth every year. And I've watched these little girls go from this tall to this tall. And yeah, I'm off frame possibly because they've gotten so big after a dozen years. And they hang out at the booth so much that some of the girls, they know what comes out of my mouth even before it comes out of my mouth. And I could just sit there and have these girls sell the Tribbles because they're doing all the clapping and the patter that I use and phrases that I use. And it's fun to see because obviously they're having just as much fun doing it as I'm having at it.
Yeah, and I can say as a witness, I've been to several conventions and seen Miles there. And yes, I have myself has sat there and done the clap. All the Tribbles vibrate and tweet and everything. And then the kids are like, and we're both like, go ahead, touch them. You can actually touch them. And they play with them. And
the kids who are like, oh my God, which one do I pick out? And my answer is always, well, all of them. And their parents are like, one. And I'm like, no, take them all. And the joke is, well, if I feed them too much, then I'll have a table of my own.
Now, I'm gonna rise a little. Do you want to talk anything about the other items you sell?
We also sell T-shirts. That's one of my favorites that I came up with is, of course, filling the sky with all the different genres of spaceships and properties that we've all grown up and loved with.
Absolutely. And he also has, if everybody's getting into the new Mandalorian series, he's got a cool Mandalorian shirt. Got to go to the website and check that out. Okay. Now, I know you've been to Comic-Con, all these conventions, Star Trek, whatnot. You had to run into a celebrity or two, right?
Oh, yes.
Tell us. Tell all.
Well, my favorite experience is, of course, meeting Mr. Shatner in his office. David had a meeting with Mr. Shatner in his office, and I had the full bus stop of Star Trek V. And I said to David, it's like, can I get this signed? He's like, come on, come with. And I'm not one usually that deer in headlights because I tend to believe that everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. But I definitely saw it in myself how I sat there and was actually the quiet one, like, oh my God, I'm sitting there in front of Mr. Shatner. And he signed it. He was so warm and friendly and nice. And it was just, that's one of my favorite experiences. And then my other favorite starlit experience is a creation show in Star Trek Vegas. I was at the Tribble booth and I'm sitting at the booth and all of a sudden I see this group of people walk by and I'm looking at the person in the lead. I'm like, that looks like Terry Farrell. And I see some guy behind her, in this big muscle guy, like security. And I'm like, is that Terry Farrell? And he's like nodding, yes. And she must have seen me do that. And she went out of her way to come over, introduce herself, say hello. She chatted me with her for like 3-5 minutes about Becker, which was one of my favorite TV shows with her in it. And it was just also so warm and friendly because you hear so many stories about so many stars that hot or cold, depending upon what day you meet them and all the stress that they're under. But here she was, that she went out of her way to come say hello and was absolutely so nice and warm and friendly to some guy sitting there selling Tribbles at a booth.
Wow.
So those are
Very
my
cool.
two favorite Starlet shows.
Okay, and for those
Yeah.
same three people who don't know what a Tribble is, Mr. Shatner is William Shatner, Captain Kirk of the original Star Trek series. I know, roll your eyes, but there could be somebody out there who's never heard of him. I don't know why, but it could happen. So I tell you what, real quick, because we've heard MaryLee discuss it and my perspective as a fan, but what is it like setting up, getting to a convention, setting up, you do your convention and then the whole takedown? Is that you mentioned earlier, it's more than a one-man job?
I cheat a lot. It's funny because when you walk into a new space and your mind is racing to figure out how you're going to lay out your booth and what you're going to do, and every time I do a booth, it's slightly different. I'll put this product over here and this product over there, depending on what I think the line of sight is for people walking into the booth. Most of the shows I do, I've done over and over, and our booths are pretty standard for most conventions, going from convention to convention. So it's pretty much the same layout and design. And it's just the physical labor of bringing everything in and setting it up, which there's one of our fellow vendors, MaryLee and I know, he'll say, if you have 3 hours to set up a booth, you'll take 3 hours. If you have 6 hours, you'll take 6 hours. And it's true. I do see myself looking at the clock saying, oh no, the clock is ticking down. I better get moving a little bit quicker. But it's the setup,
You have a
which
lot of
also is fun. Excuse me?
You have a lot of product too, so.
We've expanded a lot. And with more and more Tribbles coming out every year. When David and I first started the business, we had 3 Tribbles. And the first thing we did was bring a 4th one in, and then we brought in the animated pink episode Tribble, and that pretty much exhausted on-screen canon until we were like, okay, let's bring out some more assortments and some more breeds and discover more little Tribble varieties.
And
the jungle Tribbles were the next ones.
I couldn't find a picture of this, but you guys, he's got a van with the Tribbles painted on all sides of it. It's so cool. If you go to his website, you can see it. He does this little movie. What's that movie you did? The little.
That was our little Tribble webisode. What it was is one late night, I was driving in the middle of the night to a convention, and I'm going through some mountains, I think in Alabama or some southern state, and the cops pull me over. And I'm like, whatever, I don't think I was speeding, but okay. And he walks over and he goes to me, is there anything illegal in the truck? I'm like, no, there's Tribbles. And he says, well, I'll walk the dog around, and if there's any problems, then we'll have a problem. If not, you're on your way. And I was like, okay, I know there's nothing except Tribbles in the truck. So he did. He walked the big German Shepherd around, and then he says, okay, you're on your way. And I was like, fine. So for the next hour, my mind is by myself in the truck and tend to where I do some of my strangest thinking. I had this idea of the officer pulling up the back door, and like in the classic episode, all the Tribbles coming out of the truck. I was at a party with some friends, and I was telling them about what had happened to me, and I told them my idea, and they loved the idea, so we all got together, and one friend wrote the episode, Warren Davis wrote the episode, and another friend of mine, Brian Beardsley, he directed it and shot it, and it turned out a lot of fun. At least I like to think of it.
Very cute.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Great.
I just popped up another picture. I don't know if you can see it. You're with Jack Frost from the animated remake movie with Chris Pine as voice. And you're with Elsa from Disney's Frozen at your booth.
Okay.
At your booth. I think isn't that Comic-Con? I'm not sure.
Unfortunately, my memory is not always as good as I would like to think it is as to remembering which show is which, because sometimes they all blur now.
Right. And I did a little pop here. This is a pic from his page. So when he mentioned he has all these different kinds of Tribbles, he literally, leopard and tiger and I don't know. It's very specialty Tribbles. So, and most of them have the motion and the sound, right?
All the large ones absolutely do. Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to move my head a little.
They respond to any loud noise or motion, shaking it, nudging it. or any large noise, dogs barking, women screaming, horns honking, which is always fun to catch that person when they walk into the booth, not expecting it, and then the Tribble goes off and they scream and then a whole table goes off.
Okay.
It's better than me sitting there clapping.
I'm moving my head a little. I don't know if you can see it. How is the Bears doing? You still have the Bears?
We picked up the Bears from another company because I had thought that they were a great Star Trek item to have in addition to the Tribbles a few years ago. And they do get a lot of attention. We've been running out of them because the company that was originally making them no longer makes them anymore. So they're becoming more and more rare. There's still the large ones and the extra large ones are still available.
Wow. Michael and I have a set, so we're happy.
Yeah, they're great.
Any questions from you, MaryLee? I think you're over here.
No, I can't think of any at the moment. So.
I got one for you. Anything you would tell collectors or fans of the products and stuff as far as when they come to your booth? Anything you would, I don't want to say warn them about or advise them about, kind of like, what?
We do have some higher priced merchandise, which is more the collectible to put it on the shelf and put it on the box. But I tend to like to play with my toys. So that's why I consider myself one of the luckiest people to be able to go to a show and sell Tribbles and talk to people about Star Trek or whatever other property that we all have in common, because yeah, you get the little tension between Star Trek Classic versus Star Trek Voyager or Star Trek versus Star Wars, but most people do enjoy all of the different genres and different aspects of generations. And it's fun to be able to share the things that you have in common much more than be separated by things you don't have in common.
Yeah.
That's the best part about the last 12 years that I've been selling Tribbles, and then the years before that when I was helping David sell scripts and books, which I still have available also on our TribbleToys website. If you're interested in a David Gerald script or book, there's still those available. But the Tribbles bring in the children, and even at my gray old age, I'd like to think that there's still some child in all of us to have an enjoyable smile and a fun time for whatever time we spend together.
Absolutely. Does David make a lot of appearances at his creations?
He's been tapering back a lot the most recent years. It happens. I like to keep him at his desk writing his next book, but he also enjoys getting out and meeting the fans and hearing the feedback of what people appreciate and what he's done. I think as a creative person, which I am not, but as a creative person, you get that feedback that helps you do what you do.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I thought this was great. Miles, you have wonderful product. You guys got, you get to see his crew when he has them, and his booth. His Comic-Con booth is like 900 feet tall, and he's got it. So occasionally you have
making the people go like this.
Occasionally you have, what's that machine called? That
my claw machine, my Tribble claw machine.
Like in Toy Story, pick up your toy. You can pick up a Tribble or whatever. He has videos running. He has usually the Tribble episodes, which there's been 3 now, right? Deep Space Nine, the animated, and the original. So, and
then the Tribbles have also made appearances in Star Trek Discovery. On Lorca's desk, there's always a Tribble, and you could hear it in the background. It was in one of the Enterprise episodes where Dr. Phlox feeds a Tribble to a creature in a cage. And then in the Star Trek Into Darkness, there was the Tribble there.
This is true, which brought everybody back to life.
Yes.
Anyway, anything in closing you want to say to your fans and our fans? And
I would just like to say thank you. I mean, thank you, of course, to you, Lorenzo, you, MaryLee, because, Lorenzo, you always come into the booth and are a wealth of ideas, some of which, of course, I listen to and some of which I don't, just because of whatever else is going on. MaryLee, you've been absolutely so helpful and valuable and wonderful to me over these years, that when I first started out and had all my rookie questions and, what do you do here? Or how do we do this? Or watching all you veteran vendors, there's no doubt that, not that I'm a veteran anywhere near the experience of what you guys have, but the ability for someone to come up to me, the new vendors, and ask me a question and me be able to answer it, I know that came from you true veterans that have been doing this for God knows how long. I think you said the other day, MaryLee, 40 years. God bless you for that. So, of course, my first thanks goes to the two of you here. And then all the fans that come in show after show, year after year, even when they don't pick up the latest Tribble, but just stop in and say hi. And the same faces year after year, the kids who I've watched grow up from little munchkins to teenagers, or even older now.
Buying their kids'
Just,
Tribbles.
yeah, and eventually I'm sure we'll see the babies that come in picking up their own Tribbles. That, like I said, I consider myself one of the luckiest people to have, I don't want to say fallen into this, because there's a lot of hard work that goes beyond just having a booth at a show, which I'm sure MaryLee can attest to.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we all know the hard work that goes into getting a booth together and dealing with the easy shows versus some of the more difficult shows. But it's just a thank you that comes from that.
Wow. Well, we appreciate what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Mom.
Tribbles are fun to have. We have a couple. Our wedding was adorned with Tribbles from Miles and Tribbles.com. But anyway, okay, well, definitely we appreciate the time taking out to do this. Everybody, it's Tribbles.com. And what was the other website?
TribbleToys.com.
TribbleToys.com. What was the other one?
TribbleToys.com.
And
The other one, your other website for
the giant microbes are available at gmtoystore.com.
yeah, so,
Okay.
and you got to check them out. And whenever you see the convention listings, look for the vendors. You'll see Tribble Toys there. You got to check out his booth. If you don't pick up a disease, you're probably going to take home a Tribble. So if you don't already have one. And he's got new ones, so don't think they're all the same. They're you can.
We try and bring out new items and new varieties every year with new ideas coming in, and every day, not every day, but we often get the fans telling us, hey, what about this? Or hey, what about this? And there's logistical reasons why we can or can't do certain things due to breeding and manufacturing and feeding and all the other animal aspects of a Tribble. But we love hearing all the ideas too.
Yeah,
so don't even hesitate to that.
Nope.
If you're watching this and you have an idea for a Tribble, send us the idea. Our contact is on our webpage, TribbleToys.com. There's a contact tab there to send us your ideas. We love hearing that. And you have something nice to say, please post it. If you don't have something nice to say, just send it to us privately and we'll apologize for it and do our best to fix it.
How cool is that? All right, Miles, thank you so much for being our guest.
Lorenzo, MaryLee, thank you. I hope to see you guys soon.
Oh yeah, in person. Hopefully.
I'm waiting for a vaccine though. So
yeah, it's been a long six months since our last show. It's
wow.
Missing all the fun of it, unfortunately.
Are you referring to Gallifrey? 6 months?
Well, our last show we did was C2E2 in Chicago, testing that show.
Oh.
That was our last one right before the end of February, beginning of March this year, 2020. And we had a whole summer planned, and it's just, unfortunately, as everyone knows, one show got canceled after another this year, which has really been disappointing, considering some of the shows that were canceled just won't be back.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Other ones have been delayed, and even with a delay, it won't be the same aspect of it being what it was in its usual time spot with its usual fans and people that plan their whole year around a show.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people do. A lot of people look forward to that creation in August Star Trek show, and they'll save up all year long for it. And even though it's been moved to December this year, there's other calendar events that can interfere with that.
Yeah.
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 San Diego Comic-Con not being there in July, I know I'll probably be sitting there in the middle of July thinking, wow, this week I would have been at San Diego walking back and forth from the hotel with an armful of Tribbles to restock every morning.
Wow.
I know. I don't know. I don't think I've been home in July since I was 9 years old. I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Home?
It's just it's a strange year with
It is.
everything that's happened this year.
It
I'll
is.
look forward to next year with this year in the hindsight. The
But
rearview
on
mirror
a happy
of it.
note, we want to leave on a happy note.
Mhm.
Conventions
Yes.
will be back. There will be a virus. Everybody will be okay. Just give it
A
time.
cure. There'll be a cure.
Yeah, and then
Not a virus, a cure. He
we're
needs
all
a
done.
cure, people.
then we're all going to rush to MaryLee's booth, then rush to TribbleToys.com, and we're all going to get our stuff, and everything will be back to normal.
Well, don't run, walk, because we don't want anybody getting hurt.
There you
As
go.
San Diego Comic-Con says
There you
all
go.
day long.
That's
So
right.
thanks again, Miles. We appreciate it so much, and we will talk to you soon. Everybody, TribbleToys.com, check them out. I'll have links below, yes,
Remember
below.
to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and any comments put below, and we will definitely try and get back to you.
Yeah, and Miles will check it out too, and if you got questions for him, he'll be happy to respond.
Yeah.
Right, Miles?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll
Thanks
keep it in
again.
the loop.
Thank you, everyone. Be well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.